ancient Egyptian banquets, guests would arrive wearing enormous wigs made from real human hair. On top of each wig sat a cone of scented animal fat. As the evening went on, the cone slowly melted, releasing perfume that dripped down the wig and onto the shoulders. For decades, archaeologists debated whether this was real or just an artistic convention. The answer turned out to be stranger than either side expected. In ancient Egypt, most people shaved their heads completely: men, women, and children. This was not a fashion choice. It was hygiene. The Nile Valley was hot, dusty, and full of lice. Shaving your head was the most effective way to stay clean and cool. Head lice were such a problem that combs designed specifically for removing them have been found in tombs dating back over 4,000 years. But going bald in public was not the look anyone wanted, so they wore wigs. And these were not simple wigs. They were works of art. The finest wigs were made from real human hair, carefully braided and layered. Some had hundreds of individual braids, each decorated with beads of gold, faience, or colored glass. Others were made from palm fibers or sheep's wool for those who could not afford human hair. Wigs were stored in special wooden boxes, sometimes as elaborately decorated as the wigs themselves. The style, size, and material of your wig told everyone exactly where you stood in society. A pharaoh's wig could weigh several pounds and take days to construct. A worker's wig might be a simple cap of woven fibers. Your wig was your status, displayed on your head for everyone to see. Wigs were styled with beeswax, which held the braids in place and gave them a glossy shine. Some wigs were dyed with henna, creating rich reddish-brown tones. Maintaining a wig was a full-time job. Wealthy Egyptians had personal attendants, whose only responsibility was caring for their wigs, oiling them, rebraiding them, and keeping them free of dust and insects. And then there were the cones. Ancient Egyptian artwork shows men and women at banquets with cone-shaped objects sitting on top of their heads. For over a century, Egyptologists assumed these were cones of perfumed animal fat, likely made from ox tallow mixed with myrrh, cinnamon, or lotus extract. The idea was that as the evening wore on and the room grew warm, the cone would gradually melt, releasing fragrance and coating the wig and skin in scented oil. But other scholars argued this could not be real. Fat melting on your head would be messy, uncomfortable, and would ruin expensive wigs. They suggested the cones were purely symbolic, an artistic way of showing that someone smelled nice. The debate went back and forth for decades. No actual cones had ever been found in the archaeological record, which seemed to support the symbolic interpretation. Then in 2019, archaeologists excavating a cemetery in the ancient city of Amarna made a remarkable discovery. They found actual cone-shaped residues on the heads of two buried individuals. Chemical analysis confirmed the residues were made of beeswax, not animal fat as previously assumed. The cones were real. But they were not melting perfume dispensers. They appear to have been solid beeswax cones, possibly with symbolic or ritual significance. Regardless of the cones, perfume was central to Egyptian life. The Egyptians were among the world's first perfumers. They created fragrances from frankincense, myrrh, lotus, lily, cinnamon, and dozens of other ingredients. These were not diluted in alcohol like modern perfumes. They were infused into oils and animal fats, creating thick, long-lasting scented ointments. The most famous Egyptian fragrance was kyphi, a sacred incense burned in temples at sunset. Ancient recipes describe a mixture of up to 16 ingredients, including honey, wine, raisins, juniper, and pine resin. The process of making kyphi took days, and each step was accompanied by prayers and chanting. It was not just a fragrance, it was a religious ceremony in itself. The ancient Egyptians shaved their heads for cleanliness, then covered them in works of art. They crushed flowers and resins into oils that lasted for hours. They burned incense so sacred that making it was an act of worship. They turned beauty into science, hygiene into fashion, and fragrance into prayer. 5,000 years before the modern beauty industry, they had already figured it out. And we are still following their lead. This was just one tradition, from one civilization. But the ancient world is full of innovations like this, ideas so human and so universal that they connect us across thousands of years. Next time on Lost Genius, we'll uncover another lost breakthrough the world forgot. Subscribe so you don't miss it.